Hey, what's up, guys? This is your boy Travis back again here at Big Boy Toy Reviews with another late review. Today we are taking a look at Bring Art's Final Fantasy VII, Cloud Strife, and Barret Wallace. The reason that I'm doing both of these at the same time is because they're kind of shit figures for the price, and it's not worth me doing an individual review for each figure. It's just not. So anyway, we'll take a look at the boxes really quick. The boxes I feel like should have some kind of opening flap on them. They don't. So you can't see the figures inside boxes. They have, for the most part, this is everything that the figures can do, everything that's on these pictures. So I'm not too mad at that. But that's it for the box. Let's take a look at the figures. We'll do Cloud first since he's a re-release basically. Aesthetically, they're fine. So I don't have a problem with them aesthetically. He does look good. I don't know what cartoon or game, I think it's from a movie or something, or is this from Smash? I don't know what versions these are, because they're definitely not like Final Fantasy Rebirth or Remake, because they're not real enough to look like this. Or the realism isn't there on these figures, so they're more definitely like a cartoon. But he looks really good. I like the shading in his pants, the sculpting and everything is nicely done. I do like the shading and everything in his boots. His gloves look really good. There's a ton of paint. There's a ton of paint here on the belts, floaty belt, all the way around. There's a ton of paint. His hair looks really, really nice. So aesthetically, I have zero problems with these figures. Let's take a look at Barret really quick. And then we can take a look at Barret. His face looks really nice. These are like, that's real chain. I think that's, yeah, it looks like it's not plastic for his dog tags. Has a little hair on his chest there. Nicely sculpted and painted belt. He has bullets. Those are nicely sculpted and painted. Belt buckle is nicely sculpted and painted. He does have shading all over the place, which is really nice. Shading on his arms. His tattoo looks really good. Shading on the back also. Shading all the way out throughout the muscles. He has shading on his gun hand here too. So that's done really nicely. The shading on his pants are done very nicely. His boots as well are done really nicely. Sculpting and everything, I don't have a problem with any of that. All of that looks good. Even his hair, even the hair, the back of his head, and everything looks a little like it's bumpy, but his beard looks nice. He has the scar properly done on his face there. Yeah, everything looks pretty good there on Barret as well. So, with that being said, let's get them out the way and take a look at the accessories. All right, for Cloud, we don't get a whole lot of accessories, which is also a problem. So for Cloud, we just get a rack of hands. So he has some open hands and some weapon holding hands, and they're all done nicely. And obviously he had the fist hands on him when he came out the package. So got that. We have his sword, obviously, which is a must. So his sword looks pretty good. Nothing to complain there about this. It's nicely painted. I do like the cracks and everything in it. So that looks really good. I like how that looks. And then you get this little tiny peg that you can plug into his back so he can hold his sword on his back. And that's it. That's all you get for Cloud. And then for Barret, you get his hand that can hold the, so he can act like he's holding his gun arm. And that's all you get for Barret. So that is it for accessories for them. So on to articulation. So for Cloud, he doesn't really get anything up because of the hair here in the back. So he can't really look up. He does get a little side to side, but not a whole lot. He can look down really good though. And obviously he can spin it all the way around. So very limited, but not the most limited I've ever seen in a head, but pretty limited considering how small he is. And they could have easily put a neck joint in there or gave him a proper ball peg instead of what I believe is a ball hinge. But you know, before I move on, this is the thing when it comes to Sony and their proprietary stuff. They don't let anybody else make this stuff And so you get stuck with having to deal with their shit prices and the shit that they put in these figures. That's not only Bring Arts, but it's also Play Arts Kai, where they limit things, they take things away, they make things trash, and you get stuck because you want these characters because you might like Final Fantasy or whatever game that only they make, and they won't let anybody else make their figures. So they have basically a monopoly on this line, and you can do nothing about it but buy this shit. And articulation is primarily why I think these figures are shit. So anyway, he does have his little pauldron or whatever here. It is on like a ball peg. I can't snap it, and so it's like on a ball hinge here. But obviously, because it's weirdly attached to his arm like that, you can't get it up to parallel. So he'll never be able to get that arm up past that. It does have a little fake bicep swivel built into the shoulder, slightly over 90 degrees on the elbow. Then obviously he has a ball hinge for his wrist. This ab here, he's not getting anything out of that. He's not getting hardly anything out of that. There's no real front and back that's worth anything, and the side to side is hardly there. And then we'll get to this. We'll get to that. And then his waist joint is very, very tight, but it is there. There is a waist joint there. He can spin on that. So that's about as far forward as he can go with using the waist and the torso joint, or whatever you want to call this upper joint here. Right now I'm so frustrated I can't think of things right now. Then we get to his legs. Let me see if I can get this goddamn leg back on, because it's constantly falling off. Constantly falling off. Like, this is a soft piece, and you would think if these legs would stay on, the articulation would be fine. You do get see, you can't even do this thigh swivel without it fucking falling off. There is one there, but you can't get it to work because one, it's too. Look, I'll just show it like this. It's there, but it pops off so easily that you can't use it. So there is a swivel there, but you can never fucking use it because the goddamn leg won't stay on. He can get his leg up that high. As far as the splits, you don't even think about trying to do splits. There is a drop down joint in here. There is a drop down joint here, and so you would like to be able to use it, but the way that they have it set up, anytime you try to get more than that on the split, you're knocking one of the other legs off. So if you're lucky, you can get this much out of him. And it's super fucking frustrating. It is the worst. They want $130 for this thing on BBTS for all these Bring Arts figures for Final Fantasy VII. And my dumb ass, luckily I didn't get this off of BBTS. Look, it just falls fucking apart. It just falls apart. Anyway, here's the knee. You can get past 90. And then he does get up that far, down this far, and then you can kind of get an ankle rocker out of that. And a really, really, really tight toe joint. But who cares? Because he can't fucking stay together. $130 in some places. I got him on Hobby Late Japan, so I didn't pay that much. But $130 they want for these from domestic sites. Here's Barret articulation, all right? He can look up, not really at all either. He can look down. He can get some side to side, so he's slightly better than Cloud in that aspect. He can look up a tiny bit. His shoulders, he has, feels like a ratchet joint, so he can get parallel or a little bit past it. Bicep swivel. Big old fat chunky arm, so he can't get past 90, but he has this weird hinge that looks horrible when you look at it from the side. So that's the thing. He does get a swivel there a little bit. Obviously there's a swivel here in the wrist and it's on the hinge, so you kind of can get some movement out of that, but Barret's not that mobile anyway. There's no real ab crunch to speak of. He can, I mean, there's no like built-in crunch. I mean, technically it's a built-in crunch, but it's not a traditional ab crunch. But he can get forward that far, way further than Cloud. Well, he is kind of just bending over, so let me not use that. There, that's about it. He can go back about that far. He does have a twist here. Then he has a a thigh swivel here, but he has a thigh cut out there, but you don't really need it. You can just use that, but he does have it there too. This one's really tight. He can get just about 90 there. He's a big chunky boy, so I didn't expect him to do much. And then he does have ratcheted joints for some reason in his leg. You can hear it, or in his ankle, you can hear it. You can try to twist that around to get an ankle rocker out of it a little bit, you can. And then he also has a toe joint for whatever fucking reason. But he is a floppy goddamn mess. He is a floppy fucking mess. So yeah, $130. You don't get any effect pieces, bullet shots or anything for him. You get one hand. You get a hand for him. That's all you get. All right. I mean, there's no comparisons that I really need to make for these two figures. Give me a second. If I can get this piece of shit back together, I'll stand them up and do my closing statements. All right. So in conclusion, yeah, these are terrible figures. As a matter of fact, Hobby Link Japan, $91 for these things. $91. These things aren't worth $25. You know what? $25 should be about as much as these cost. $25. Maybe I'll give it the highest $50 a piece for these. These should cost. Sony owns the licensing for these. They own the licensing, so they make the prices. They don't need to. They don't. You know, they're not getting it from like Marvel and Marvel and Hasbro, where they have to make a contract and Hasbro has to pay Marvel to get the licensing. Sony owns the licensing for this for this line for Final Fantasy stuff. There's no reason they make their own pricing. They don't have to pay any licensing fees. Why are these so fucking expensive? These were supposed to be like a cheaper 1/12 option for the Final Fantasy stuff and other things and other video games to compare to the PlayArt Sky, because PlayArt Sky has gotten obnoxiously expensive now. So this was supposed to be a 1/12 scale cheaper alternative. Yeah, it might be cheaper, but it's a piece of crap. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to keep these guys, because anybody that wants to make a Smash Brothers display, this is the best cloud that you could probably buy right now that'll fit in scale with the other Smash Brothers characters. And I love Final Fantasy VII, and I've been wanting some good Final Fantasy figures that are 1/12 scale. And these are the best that's out. And unfortunately, these are the best that are out. And these are shit. They're absolute shit. I forgot that this thing can spin too on Barret in articulation. They're absolute shit. It's ridiculous. Big Bad Toy Store, they want I think, yeah, Big Bad Toy Store is where they cost $130 something. Let me try to find it. Yeah, this cloud is in stock right now in BBTS for $129.99. You know, after tax, you're going to be paying, after tax and shipping, you're going to be paying probably $150, if not more, for this one figure that comes with a sword, a backpack to hold the sword, and a few hands. No slashing effects, no fire effects. He has all kinds of moves that he does in the games and in Smash Brothers and stuff. They give you none of those effects. He gets no blast effects for his gun arm. Like, what? Why? It's just nonsense. Falls apart if you just breathe on them too hard. Unfortunately, these are fucking statues. They're supposed to be posable action figures. They're fucking statues. Anyway, that's it for the review. Comment, like, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.